Hey guys, first of all, I'd like to ask you to do me a favor, and that's like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and share the video, as well as click on the links in the description to find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube and to support me outside of YouTube as well as the live chat will be open. If you want to come in and chime in your thoughts on what I have to say here, it'd be greatly appreciated. As well as if you want to donate a super chat, it'd be greatly appreciated. And as well as the comment section will be open during the video premiere and afterwards. And if you don't get here in time during the video premiere to donate, if you want to, then you can still do so with the super thanks option, which is a little heart with a dollar sign. Now, with that said, guys, as you can see the title, I'm going to give you a bit of a update for this upcoming Thanksgiving. As you know, for a lot of you that have been following me for 17 years, it's hard to believe it's been 17 years, but it's it's true. So I thank you for that. But for a lot of you that have been following me for 17 years, you know that when it gets around certain times of the years, holidays, summer seasons, stuff like that, that sometimes, working or not, I have to change things up a little bit. I have to change things up to where I gotta basically work away, around the situation I'm in. So what I'm getting at is that this Thanksgiving weekend, which will start tomorrow, I'm assuming it's going to start early, because again, for those that have followed me for a long time, you know exactly the situation I'm going to get to. But I'm assuming it's going to start early, probably a little after 12, maybe between, I would say, noon and 3 o'clock. Noon and 3 o'clock in the afternoon is what I'm assuming. I could be wrong and everything. I have to, find out more later on. But I bring that up. I bring that up mainly because of the fact that when that time frame comes around, between the noon and, I would say, 4 o'clock at the latest, but mostly 3 to be safe. Basically, between that time frame, I'm going to have to be a little careful with what I do when it comes to recording on camera like this, or recording with my audio recorder, my digital voice audio recorder I have. I got to be a little careful, because what I got to do is I got to kind of keep an eye on the time, if you will, as well as I got to take a peek outside, if you will, to, make sure I still have time. And when I get that, I guess you could say that how do I put it in this way? As soon as I get that visual, if you will, I get that visual, okay, we're getting in, now we're starting the Thanksgiving holiday break. As soon as I get that visual, or at least I noticed a certain call coming in, like the phone ringing or whatever, then I'm pretty much going to have to put any creation on hold. I will. Now, that doesn't mean I won't be trying to get you guys some content. I will get you some content. I will. It's going to be a little bit more different. It might be more game related at times, if you will, because that's probably the best, direction I can go in. That's probably the best direction I can go in, if you will. But with that said, the length of time for this break, if you will, is going to be a little longer than usual. Now, normally, come Monday, things, go back to status quo for at least another, I would say, couple of weeks, in some cases, depending on when certain things let out and all that. But it normally goes back to status quo on the Monday after Thanksgiving. Well, that's not going to be the case this year, because things have come up, and basically, long story short, in my case, if you will, and like I said, for those of you that have followed me for over a decade and a half, 17 years, nearly 20 years, you know what I'm getting at. You know what I'm alluding to. So what I'm saying is that instead of Monday, where things get back to the status quo, whether I was working or not, instead it's going to be Tuesday, which will be the 2nd of December. And what that means for me, basically, I have to essentially hold off until at least Tuesday to kind of get back into the rhythm of what I do. Now, I'm not saying, again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not saying I won't be able to get you some content out there, because I will. I will get you some content when the opportunity presents itself. It's just, this is a situation to where basically, anybody that's a content creator, whether they upload videos daily, uploads videos weekly, quarterly, monthly, you name it. This is a situation that they all know too well. And that situation is you got to basically, as I mentioned, work around the situation you're going to be in. You know, the situation you're going to be in, if you will. And in this case, it's a good situation, but it is a situation you got to work around. So, long story short, I am going to get you guys some content. Don't worry about that. It's just going to be a little tricky at times, if you will. Like right now, it's about 5:56. I'm kind of still in the clear to do, you know, stuff like this. Well, just let's put it this way. Come 5:56 this Saturday, or 5:56 this Monday, more specifically, you know, I won't be able to do stuff like what I'm doing right now. Instead, I have to be careful. Instead, I have to be like, okay, let me see, you know, if something is going on or something's coming on that will, you know, give me an opportunity to do what I got to do normally, you know, in my room here, you know, let me see if there's going to be something that's going to give me that opportunity. And when I see that opportunity, that's when I'll try to get, you know, into a normal frame of, you know, content creation, video uploading and stuff like that, you know, on the camera, or, you know, through the digital voice recorder I have. So basically, long story short, I'm just letting you guys know that I'm still going to get content out to you. It's just going to be a little bit more tricky. It's going to be a little bit more tricky as time goes on. And the reason it's going to be a little bit more tricky is because, like I said, and I know I'm being repetitive in saying this, for those of you that have followed me for over 17 years, you know exactly what I'm alluding to. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And anybody that's a content creator, you know, again, as I mentioned earlier, whether they upload something daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, you know, or whenever they get the chance, they know exactly what I'm talking about. They know exactly where I'm coming from. They understand, you know, the situation. You know, so I gotta, you know, so they kind of get, you know, where people like me are coming from when it comes to this. You know, I'm not saying, like I said, you know I'm repeating myself, but I'm not saying I won't be able to get content out to you. It's just going to be a little bit more tricky. Like, let's say I want to get something out to you on Thanksgiving. I got to get up real early and do that. If I want to come on here and say Happy Thanksgiving and wish you all a Happy Thanksgiving, you know, and all that, you know, whether it's live or recorded, you know, I got to get up real early to do that. You know, I got to get up real early to do that. Or let's say I want to give my thoughts, you know, on the Thanksgiving Day parade, you know, after it's all said and done. I have to wait till later that night. I have to go back and watch my DVR recording of it to give you my thoughts. You know, that's what I'll have to do. You know, that basically was all, you know, that's basically the only opportunity I would have would be at late at night, if you will. You know, and, you know, stuff like that. Kind of along those patterns, if you will. But overall, that's basically how things are going to go. Basically how things are going to go as we head into this Thanksgiving holiday. So I just thought I'd let you guys know about it. Let you know, just in case you're wondering where some of the content's at. You know, again, you will get content. It's just going to be a little bit more trickier. It might be a little bit more different than what you normally see or hear. But I just thought I'd let you guys know. And until next time, let me know what your thoughts are if you haven't already in the live chat. And until next time, I'll talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care.